But the formula was so much superior to the front engine. So Colin Chapman, the most creative engineer probably of Formula One in the second half of the 20th century, copied him for the Lotus.
Jim Clark would win his first World Championship in Chapman's revolutionary Lotus 25 in 1963. Chapman was a pilot. As well as inspiration from Cooper, he borrowed liberally from aviation. The 25 chassis had a monocoque construction. The driver was now almost lying down in the car, lowering its centre of gravity and improving the aerodynamic airflow. Weight was saved by using the engine and gearbox as mounting points for the rear suspension. The Lotus 25 cemented Britain's growing dominance of Formula One.
By the late 50s, early 60s, Ferrari had copied. You couldn't go into Formula One unless you had an engine at the back, because it completely transformed the weight, the handling characteristics, the aerodynamics, everything. It was a new type of car.
The next new car, or rather its engine, arrived in 1967. Chapman and engine designer Keith Duckworth made the engine part of the car's load-bearing structure by bolting it directly to the back of the monocoque.
Let's see if it all goes together now. Come on. Oh, dearie me. Steady. Steady. Down a bit.
Take it down.
Drag, yeah. Yeah, that's fitting well. Beautiful. Yep, that's the job. Lovely.
The engine was the main structure of the car, and that was classic aircraft structure, and the whole style that was carried over onto the Lotus 49 was straight from the aircraft industry.
By 1967, all the teams had the engine Cooper style, behind the driver. The Italian Ferraris and the early Honda-powered cars had seen the future. But Chapman's new innovation of using the engine as a stressed part of the car's construction was unbeatable. The championship was his. The emphasis was now moving away from the track. A game of technological cat and mouse developed as Formula One rule makers tried to catch the engineers. Cars with 6 wheels, this is the Ford-powered Tyrrell, tried to reduce the drag from big tyres. Bernie Ecclestone's Brabham, plagued with an underpowered Alfa Romeo engine, found a winning way by using a fan to stick the car onto the road in corners. A sort of hovercraft in reverse. It had one outing, won the race, and was banned. Fascinating as it was, this battle behind the closed doors of the team's increasingly secret factories could only lead to one thing.
It's very obvious now that cars could be built that wouldn't need a driver at all. You can program the cars to do everything, and anything you can't program into the car you can do from the pits with, you know, dials and buttons and hand controllers. But nobody would go to watch that.
Since the earliest days of the 20th century, aircraft shared their technology with racing cars. Slowly, then with increasing speed, cars for the track have become less like road cars and more like aircraft.
And certainly what I'm looking at is probably more close to an aircraft fuselage than it is anything that somebody would drive along the street in.
I've always thought that if this was 1942, Patrick Head would be the sort of guy at the forefront of the development of the Spitfire and the Hurricane. I imagine they were the sorts of engineers who were pushing those extremes at that moment.
Today's Spitfire is a technological free-for-all. It is packed with electronic systems. Systems which are already revolutionizing road cars.
There's absolutely no reason why Formula One shouldn't be a technological free-for-all. It's just my concern that it doesn't seem to be quite clear in its own mind what it should be.
I mean, you can't uninvent things that have already been invented. So you've got to embrace technology. The question is, how far do you take it? It is not untrue to say that nowadays they could put things on cars and program them to go around the circuits by themselves. They wouldn't need a driver at all. But that's not what motor racing is about. It's a combination of man and machine.
In planes, man and machine are locked together by electronics. The future of aircraft control is not muscle power or skill. It is a conversation.
Display engines, hide, stores, DAS, head down, stores, freaks.
In the modern battle space, there's so much information out there, and the sensors on board the airplane can pick all that up. It would be very, very easy for that information to overload the pilot, unless you filter it by way of computers and give him a picture in the cockpit that he can deal with. He's useless in that fighting platform.
Top drivers have always been able to cope with information overload. Formula One engineers are already removing it. Since the start of 2002, electronic traction control, or TC, has been legal on Formula One cars. Traction control turned off means this is possible. Switched on, TC doesn't make cars faster, it just makes driving easier.
You say, okay, I'm going to do one lap with the TC on, one lap with the TC off. Let's see if my right foot is better than the TC. For sure, for one lap you can do as quick as the TC. But over a race distance allows you to concentrate on other things. It allows you to concentrate on braking. It allows you to, when you exit a corner, you can already start changing settings because you know the car won't spin. That's what technology does. It makes life easier.
Nobody wants Formula One to retreat from the leading edge of technology, but it's a very, very hard balance to find. There are very good minds within Formula One, and they have to concentrate on, I think now, on drawing up a set of regulations that ensure that that balance is sustained.